Hi guys, and welcome back to Learn Business with Jade. Today I'll be talking about the pros and cons of balancing a 9 to 5 and your business. Quick spoiler, I am personally pro balancing your 9 to 5 and your business for as long as possible. But yeah, let's get into the video. So I'm only going to mention 3 pros and 3 cons. These are the most general ones on either side. Obviously depending on the industry you're going in both your business and your 9 to 5. Also depends on whether there's, I don't know, working from home options, all these kind of things that differ. But these are the 3 ones that I think are the most general across the board, so I think I'm going to focus on those. So let's start with the pros. First pro is that you're basically being paid to learn, and this is in 2 senses. On one side, you are literally being able to see how a successful business is being run from the inside out. For a business to be able to employ people, it has to have some kind of success, some kind of profit, something that's going well for it. At the beginning stages of your business, you can learn so much from like the inside out and looking at how the business works, from HR to even like the culture that they're trying to build. Also, a lot of businesses do offer kind of development programs or things like that. Either they'll pay for you to go on courses, on like industry assessed or industry approved courses, or they may have in-house training that you can use and that are like transferable skills. So essentially you're being paid a salary and you're being paid in this sense to learn. I think someone that said it best was Vera Wang, that she felt that her 17 years at Vogue and then her following 2 years at Ralph Lauren were essentially where she was being paid to learn, because she learned so much. And then when she launched her wedding dress her bridal collection and her bridal brand, she could use those skills and apply it there. As I always like to say, no opportunity is wasted. You can learn something from anything and from everything, so something to obviously keep in mind. The second pro is probably the most obvious, and this is financial security. Regardless of how many pieces you sell, regardless of if you have a good month or a bad month, you know at the end of the month you're going to get a salary. This is super useful, obviously depending on your situation, but generally useful. This can be used to build your brand. This can be used to pay your rent. This can be used to just give you peace of mind that regardless of what happens in your business, you will be okay. And I feel like this actually promotes creativity. I know there's always this whole thing of like, oh, your business is kind of, your 9 to 5 is in the way of you living your dream as a business owner, blah, 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 blah. But for me personally, having that financial security actually helps me be more creative, helps me be more flexible, because one less thing to worry about. I know that, obviously, fingers crossed, God forbid, if the collection doesn't go well, I can still pay my rent, you know? And this actually, for me, promotes creativity and helps me be more creative rather than stifling that. So I guess it's the most obvious pro, but I had to mention it. Financial security is such an amazing thing that you get from balancing both your 9 to 5 and your business, especially as your business is still in the early stages and it's still growing. And the last one, I'd say, the last general one, is that it forces you to stay focused. By taking up a set amount of hours of your day, you are forced to be as productive and as effective with the other hours that you have. So for example, if you're not working 9 to 5 and you're 110% in your brand, you are 110% flexible, and this can lead to 110% laziness. So you may know, for example, if you're making a piece yourself, you may know, okay, cool, I need to sew 6 jackets, for example. You may wake up at 5 p.m. and sew them really quickly. Whereas if you're working 9 to 5, you know, okay, in the morning I'll cut up the fabric. On my lunch break, I will, I don't know, email or like do customer service. After work, I'll do this. So these kind of things that it forces you to organize your day by a limited amount of time that you have. And for me, I personally find it super useful, especially kind of even from working from home as I am currently. I know, okay, cool, if I want to film a video for Rosanna, if I want to email subscribers, if I want to email subscribers, if I want to email manufacturers, all these kind of things, I have to think, okay, cool, I've got a meeting, I'm at work from 9 to 5. 5 to 9 I can do this. It just forced me to be super organized because I just have limited time. So for me, I think it's a massive pro with balancing both. Okay, now let's start with the cons, with the disadvantages, the negatives. It's lack of time. Even though it helps you organize your time, you ultimately have less time to do a lot of things, especially as your business starts to grow. So in the early stages, where I guess you have less to do, you have less customers, you have less orders, I guess it's easier when you have less time. As your business starts to grow, it becomes really, really difficult to balance both. And it's probably the level that I'm at right now, where I'm having to work 2 full-time jobs. At the beginning, your brand is a part-time job. It's a side hustle alongside your full-time job. As your brand grows, it ends up being 2 full-time jobs, and you have just less time. Genuinely, you need 48 hours in a day to do and succeed at 2 full-time jobs. You only have 24, and you also need to sleep and you need to eat and blah 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 blah. So you have a lot less time, and it's super difficult, and you just have to stay organized. It's just difficult, and it's a massive con. I'd say it's one of the biggest negatives I'm having right now, kind of balancing both. But yeah, so the second negative, kind of related to the first one, is lack of energy. I feel like running a business is a mental and a physical strain. Working 9 to 5 is a mental and a physical strain. Simple things like having to drag yourself out of bed to go on a Zoom call. Simple things like, okay, I'm having to lift stock and organize stock and things like that. And having to just think. I think personally, it actually has an effect on your physical body. You know, like if you're just revising at uni, whatever, technically you're just thinking, you're not actually running, but you get physically tired from all the thinking. By having to do 2 full-time jobs, you're going to be extra physically tired. And I have this major issue where I'm just knackered all the time, because I'm working my brain to full capacity and working my brain to full capacity for my brand. So I'm doing them both. Like at work, I've got stuff to do, they're asking me to have loads of responsibilities for me, because they're paying me to do a job, so I'm being asked to do my job. But with my brand, it's the same thing of like, okay, I need to kind of figure out, is this a good price, negotiate prices with manufacturers, kind of think about strategies, market strategies. If I need to hire someone, I need to think about what I'm going to train them to do, blah 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 blah. There's a lot to do, it's a lot to think about. And this is even excluding personal relationships, other goals I have outside of Rosanna, if I want to work out, you know, my other like dreams and goals. So yeah, you have a lot less energy when you're trying to balance both. And last negative, but I would say it's potentially the biggest one, is the stress. At work, you're under a lot of stress by your supervisors, your managers, the head of like your department or whatever, because they want you to do a job, and ultimately they're under stress, and you know it all kind of trickles down. In your business, you put stress on yourself, but also you can be stressed by your customers, you can be stressed by your expectations for yourself, by wanting to meet your customers' expectations, by wanting to grow, by wanting to be the best that you can be. That's a lot of stress on one person. And I've said this in previous videos, your mental health is so important, because if you're not there mentally, your brand will not be there physically. Simple as. And I feel like we tend to ignore or not put a high enough importance on our mental health, especially as brand owners. This whole hustle culture, I'm so against it. Like, you should be sleeping, you should be eating, you should be living your life and having a business. Now I'm being hypocritical because I'm terrible at remembering to eat. I'm terrible at kind of sleeping, especially like working with international manufacturers, where if I happen to be awake at 11 or midnight, I'll go and start emailing them because I know that they're awake, even though I should be sleeping, because I have to have a meeting my 9 to 5 at 9 o'clock, you know. So the stress that you put yourself under, the stress that you're under from work, all this kind of stress is so bad, because people get burnout just from working 9 to 5. I'm saying just, not in a literal sense. People also get burnout just from having a brand. When you have both, your potential burnout is increased. Your potential of being burnt out is increased. Something to really look out for. And I've been having days where I'll just similar to what I said last week, we're having days where I just focus on the business. It means that my work phone, on Friday, my work phone goes off, it stays in the office upstairs. Similarly, my Rosanna phone has to stay off and stay in my bedroom downstairs when I'm doing my 9 to 5, just to make sure I can keep those separated and just focus on one stress at a time. So for me, those are the pros and cons. Those are the 3 most general ones. And regardless of all the cons, I still recommend and I still prefer working both. For a bit of background, I have been at uni. When I first started the brand, I was on a placement year, so I was working full-time at 9 to 5. Then I went back to uni and I had a part-time job, uni and my brand. Then over COVID, I had just my brand. Oh, and uni, because I had to like graduate over COVID. That's a whole nother story for another day. And then now I'm back to just working a 9 to 5 and having my brand. And I do genuinely prefer working. And if it's it's just everything. Being paid to learn and the financial security are the two most important things, because I'm learning so much from working. And it takes money to build a brand. Even if you're making it yourself, you're doing custom pieces or like made to order, you might need to buy a sewing machine. You have to buy packaging. You have to buy fabric. You have to buy thread. You have to buy labels. All these kind of things you have to buy. You actually want to start a brand, and even if it's anything like £300 or £1,000, regardless of the amount, if you don't have money, how are you supposed to start? And that actually caused me stress. I know how stressed I was when I wanted pieces to come out. I didn't have the funds to put the deposit down, and it really stressed me out, and that led to more stress, to just endless cycle. So even if it's just for the things that you can learn and for the financial security, I would still recommend, for as long as possible, doing both. Obviously this depends on your financial situation, your personal situation, your home situation, blah. But for me personally, this is what works best for me. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Learn Business with Jade, and share with someone that you think will find this useful. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.